Good morning and welcome to Today in LA. My name's Mike Amos. Hope you're doing well this morning on a Thursday, heading into the first part of February. Of course, January is out of here. February the 1st today, and I hope everybody's doing well on a beautiful morning. The sunrise this morning was about as pretty as I've ever seen it. Looked like a giant fire in the horizon, but it was the sun rising for the first day of February. And of course, everybody that saw the blue moon got a kick out of that. I tell you this: I've never seen the moon so close to the Earth in my days, and it was amazing how close it was and how large that moon was last night. Of course, we got a lot going on in our community this weekend. Of course, so we got basketball galore coming in here. Troy University does battle with South Alabama. Should be quite a game and a very important game in the Gulf South Sun Belt Conference race. Troy beat South Alabama a couple of weeks ago at South Alabama. Now, South Alabama comes in here with a big mad on and would love nothing better than to beat Troy. I'll tell you this right now: Troy's got to get on a roll, and this will be the start of it. Hopefully, as they have 3 games in a row they play this Saturday, starting at 4:15. The varsity, the women start at 2 o'clock, and that's at the Trojan Arena. And then again next Thursday they'll be at home, and then that next Saturday week they'll be at home. So should be a lot of fun as we get ready for a big weekend. Of course, baseball meet the Trojans baseball team, meet the Trojans softball team. Starts at 11 o'clock from Riddle Pace Field Saturday, and free hot dogs. How about that? So come out and bring your kids and let them get autographs from all these players, and then get free hot dogs at the same time, and then free admission for many of you to the basketball game. So we appreciate all the folks that are supporting Troy athletics, but we need to support them even more as we head down the stretch in our basketball program. Of course, baseball season is just around the corner, and Troy will be opening up their season soon, so it'll be a great opportunity to come out to the ballpark, Riddle Pace Field, this weekend, and see and meet the young men who will represent the Troy University Trojan baseball team this fall, and also the Trojan women's softball team. Should be a lot of fun. The show is brought to you by Dowling Equipment Rental. Dalco, of course, has been there in Enterprise for quite a while now. Of course, Warren and the great folks there grew up right there in Enterprise, and of course Richard Dowling, their father, owned and operated, still does own and operate Dowling Truck and Tractor, which is located right adjacent to the Dalco Rental Agency. You know, I say this: they're located on Park Avenue in Enterprise, and and it's no bull when I say they rent a lawnmower and they'll rent you a bulldozer, and everything in between at Dalco Rental right here in Troy. And of course, I want to mention Green Hills and 2 of my favorite people, Benny and Chrissy. Of course, Benny Pinkard, a longtime friend of mine. I remember when he played for the Giants in baseball, and again came up there, and he and Johnny Withington and James Lucas and Terry McPherson, all those boys played ball together growing up. And of course, we appreciate those folks very, very much. Of course, beautiful facility right here in Troy, and we appreciate their support of our show. I want to mention Noble Manor for assisted living. No better place than Noble Manor right here in Troy. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, my good friends Dale and Law and Jimmy Law, they've been in that business a long time and they know it as well as anybody. I want to mention also Huddle House for a great breakfast this morning. They've got every omelet known to man, I promise you. If you love omelets, no better place to go than Huddle House right here in Troy. And also Troy Bank and Trust Company, and I was in Dothan last weekend and rode by the new building being built for Troy Bank and Trust Company right there on the Wicksburg Highway, or you want to call it the Enterprise Wicksburg Highway. You're on today in L.A. Good morning.
My name was Bud Luverne. How you?
Bud from Luverne. Now, Bud, let me say this. Have you ever seen a more beautiful sunrise than you saw this morning?
No, I have not. You're absolutely right.
Tell us, of course, you're big on sunrises, and that one today is coming after a blue moon. I tell you, it was gorgeous. Looked like the whole sky was on fire.
You're right. It was pretty, no doubt about it. I want to run something by you. You'll probably remember a name I'm fixing to mention. A great baseball player back in the day passed away yesterday.
That's right.
From Montgomery, Alabama, and Oscar Gamble.
The Big O, Oscar Gamble, born and raised right there in Montgomery and played.
Well, let me say this. You're right about that, but he spent a lot of his youth in Raymer, Alabama.
Yeah, I heard that. I knew that. Yeah, and he batted with that bat close to the vest, didn't he? He had that old bat right in there. He was left-handed. Wasn't he left-handed or right-handed? Wasn't he left-handed?
He was left-handed.
Yeah, and he had that. Are you watching me on TV? He had that thing in there real close to vest, and then whap, just like a rattlesnake, striking a victim.
Absolutely, one of the great ball players. I looked on after I heard of his death yesterday. I went online and looked at some stats. He had over 200 home runs in his career, and I did not realize that.
Yeah, he played. I know this. I know he played with the White Sox. I know he played with the Yankees. Isn't that right?
Yeah, he did. He come up with the Indians.
Yeah, that's right.
He come up with the Indians, and he played on those great teams in the late '70s with in the outfield with Willie Randolph and Reggie Jackson and that group under oh gosh, I cannot think of the manager's name back in the day.
Well,
Billy Martin.
Okay, Billy Martin with the Yankees. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So that's where he made his really got noticed and recognized was his years there in the with the New York Yankee organization, and I did not realize that he was only 68.
Yeah, he's also a great pinch hitter. They'd bring him off the bench, and he had many pinch hit situations.
Yeah, you're right, and had great speed, and he reminded me a lot of Rod Carew with the Twins. For years there in the 60s and 70s, Rod Carew was the American League batting champ every year.
Right.
He batted left-handed, and I saw an interview with him one day back in the day. They were talking to Carew and his technique and all about hitting the ball. And he batted left-handed, and he always had that big chew of chewing tobacco in his jaw. And they asked him why such a big chew, and his comment was that batting left-handed, that chew kept that eye open toward the baseball, and that way he wouldn't flinch or blink when the ball come. That chewing tobacco is such a big wad there.
All right, I'm gonna stun you. I'm gonna ask you a question right here, and I want you to try your best to answer it. And if you do answer it, I might fall out of my chair. Who had the biggest chew of them all? Who do you remember with the biggest chew? Had the biggest chew of them all? Now this is just my opinion.
Yeah, give me one hint. Give me
he was a part of the Keystone Combo, the Go White Sox. What was his name?
Well, I have no idea.
Nelson. His first name was Nelson, but they didn't call him Nelson. They called him Nelly.
Oh, okay. I still don't know.
All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, they called him Nellie Fox, the second baseman for the Chicago White Sox. Boy, you talking about a wad of chewing tobacco. Hoy Wilhelm had a big old wad of chewing tobacco too. You remember him?
I do, and I want to change the subject.
Now, isn't that something to compare somebody's wad of chewing tobacco?
Listen, I love it. You know, when I'm on the baseball field, on the football field,
Yeah.
I do about a half a pack of practice.
But everybody got to watch where you spit, though. That's what's important, to watch where you spit.
Never chewing inside.
Yeah.
Never chewing inside. It's always outside when I
Yeah.
chew. Listen, you were talking the other day about some great ball players, and you brought up the name Calvin Culver out of Bruton.
That's
WS
right.
Neal.
Out of Bruton.
On number 33. Do you know the game that Calvin Culver really got recognized in? I'm going to go back a little bit in the 70s.
Well, I can remember one game where he ran 80 yards for a touchdown. I don't know if that was it or not.
He come up and got recognized and started playing a lot. Alabama went to Maryland back in 1974 or 73. First time Coach Bryant had been back to Maryland since he left.
That's right.
And they had a defensive All-American tackle at Maryland named Randy White.
That's right. The great Randy White later played with the Cowboys.
That's Cowboys. Calvin Culver rushed the ball that day for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. Bama come away with a hard-fought 21-16 victory. And that's where I remember Calvin Culver. Like I said, back in the day, we didn't have tape. We didn't have the 100 games we could watch every
That's
week
right.
like we do now. It was ABC Game of the Week.
A lot of people said that he had the thought that he might win a Heisman Trophy. Coach Bryant talked about him and Wilbur Jackson because and he always said they run with their feet close to the ground. You ever heard him say that?
Yes, sir. Hard to get a lick on him, but he was a great one. You're absolutely right, and I did not realize until you were talking the other day that he was. I had forgot that he was from WS.
That's right.
In Bruton.
And, and of course, the great family that went to W.S. Neal was he used to coach here at Charles Henderson.
You talking about Sassers?
What?
You talking about the Sasser family?
No, not Sasser. No,
I don't remember who you're talking about.
Of course, he won the state championship this past fall in Class 3A in the independent schools. His team upset Hugh Fountain.
You talking about Hugh Fountain? Okay.
Yeah, the Fountain family was a huge, they were a huge supporter of W.S. Neal.
Yeah, that's correct.
There was a W.S. Neal lumber company, and there was a T.R. Miller lumber company.
Right.
You know that the Millers and of course they were all families. One of them lived on the other side of Murder Creek, and my son said, "Is there really a Murder Creek?" Yes, the Battle of Murder Creek.
You're right, and it's no wider. It's no wider than a hall. I mean, it's very narrow, but
yeah.
You're right. There is a Murder Creek. I went over it several times. You're absolutely right. East Bruton and Bruton.
And then, of course, that's a huge paper mill town. Macmillan, Blodale, those, of course, T.R. Miller Lumber Company, W.S. Neal Lumber Company, and they were real rivals when the old man at W.S. Neal built a school on one side of the river, and T.R. Miller, that family, built a school on the other side of the river.
That's absolutely correct. But I just wanted to mention that, and you were talking about the changes in coaching with Jamie Riggs going to Houston Academy.
Hey, look out! Don't you agree?
I agree, and Rigsby going to Eufaula. I was looking on the internet, and it looks like when everything's said and done, that Rigsby will bring home about $115,000 a year, which is
that is big time. That's big time. They say the guy at Hoover in Birmingham makes close to $200,000. But hey, you make over $100,000 a year coaching football in Alabama. That's a big time job.
You're exactly right. And talking about Josh Niblett, I remember Josh Niblett when he was a 6-year-old over at South Montgomery.
That's right.
His father, John Niblett, was coaching over at South Montgomery.
And I saw John last week, and of course, he hadn't changed one bit hard nose. You remember how hard nosed he was? He had that nose. He looked like he'd hit a lot of people with that nose of his.
You're exactly right. Tough individual, good coaching family, just a good family all the way around.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something about John. You can say, of course, he won a state championship at South Montgomery, and everybody around that part of the country knows him. But the thing about his son Josh, who's the head coach of the great program at Hoover in Birmingham, he's probably the finest, probably one of the more outstanding high school coaches, is the Christian element, Bud. They are great Christian people. Those Midlands. I guarantee you, he raised his boys the right way. I guarantee you.
Right, that's exactly right, and he carries on that tradition and those top coaching ethics with him that he learned from his father.
And I'll tell you another guy just like him, and one of my close friends is John Fairclough. He's very similar to the same type of person,
That's right, and he was for years the president of the Alabama House of the Independent Association.
Yeah, you know something, Bud, and you and I go pretty much the same route, going back in time. John Fairclough, if you had somebody you needed to hire today to run a public school, John Fairclough would be a good one, wouldn't he?
Absolutely. He spent his early days coaching at South Montgomery.
That's right.
Back in the day.
Exactly. In fact, was it Max Howell or John Fairclough the first coach there at South Montgomery?
I'm going to tell you who the first coach at South
George
Montgomery
Dickey
was Maxim Bird.
No, let me tell you now. I think you're wrong. The reason I say that is I think Max Howell is the one that hired Sim Bird, wasn't he?
I don't think so, because South Montgomery didn't open in 1970.
Okay, and of course that was after in '68 when they won the national championship. I know Max coached there at one time, I think, and of course I know Fairclough coached there, and Tim Bird coached there, and you remember George Dickey that coached at Crenshaw Christian?
Right.
Yeah, he was a fraternity brother of mine. He was a good friend of mine. And then of course, how about their staff when they had Charles Clark and Johnny Shoemaker? You remember that team?
Yeah, they had some great runs back in the late 60s and 70s. They sure did. But for a school that's no longer being a school, South Montgomery's got a rich tradition in football as far as people that have coached there.
And I'll tell you something else about it. Of course, Ricky McLean is a good friend of mine. You know Ricky from Sprague, from out here at Sprague. Coach Bryant always said he's from out here at Sprague or out here at Mulga. I bet you don't know who is from out here at Mulga, do you?
No, I don't.
Have you ever heard of Mulga, Alabama?
Yes, sir, I sure have.
They had a linebacker one time named Colenso Hubbard from out here at Mulga.
I remember Colenso Hubbard. He played in the early 70s. Conley Duncan and Mike Raines.
Conley Duncan. Man, I hadn't heard the name Conley Duncan in forever. Boy, what a linebacker Conley Duncan was.
Conley Duncan, you had Robin Parkhouse at one end and Mike Raines at the other end in the 70s.
Big red-headed Parkhouse. You remember that big red-headed guy?
Yes, sir. And then you had Leroy Cook from Abbeville.
From Abbeville, Alabama, Leroy Cook. You're exactly right.
Some great defensive teams there. Listen, one other thing, I want to change the subject again. I don't know why in God's green earth Alabama can't get over the hump after winning a big game. Missouri comes in last night and beats Alabama 69-60.
I watched some of that, and that was the not two not very good teams. That looked like to me.
No, and Bama's still in the top 30. They still 35th in the RPI ranking this morning. That's what most folks go by. And but I just, they were flat. They went 1 for 12 in the first, 0 for 12 in the first second half, and they missed like 12 free throws. That's where they lost the ball game, on the free throw line.
No question. And you know what? Shame on you, because you ought to be able to teach somebody to shoot free throws.
That's what me and a good friend of mine was talking about. If you can't, as an athlete, you can't hit 7 or 8 out of 10 hitting free throws, you need your scholarship pulled.
And if you look at it, at the end of the game, you look at the free throws, it could have been the difference in the game. I know that game last night, it would have been the difference.
Absolutely, absolutely. And most ball, Bama's sitting now 14-8, 5-4 in the conference. They've got to go to Gainesville Saturday and play Florida, which is not going to be an easy task, even though Florida lost to Georgia. But still, I just can't understand, and it's been this way basically since Coach Sanderson's been there. Yeah. We just can't get a big win and capitalize off of it.
I tell you what, the young man from Luvern's playing well though, and I think he's earned a ticket to the big time money one day. I think he can make it in the pros, don't you?
I do. He had a decent game last night, but there again, you had Sexton, and a lot of times, Giddens and Petty didn't. They hardly combined didn't get 6 points.
And I'll tell you something else, Bud. You should be able to have 2 or 3 guys on your team that can hit the three. If not, you're playing the wrong game this time. To me, if you don't have guys that can hit the three, and Alabama they didn't hit the three at all, did they?
No, and the same thing last night happened in the Georgia game.
They could have come back and won that game last night. Missouri was giving them the game, but Alabama couldn't hit the shots.
Yeah, and early Missouri was killing the three. Everything Missouri throwed up in the first half was going in.
That's right. And there are guys out there, and some of them might be playing in some of these small schools around here that can shoot the darn three, and you need to hire them or sign them, what I'm saying.
Need to run, coach, and let other folks get on the line.
Well, Bud, let me tell you this. You're welcome to stay on the line as long as you want to, my friend. You do a great job, and we really like you. And I think I hear different people every day telling me how much they enjoy hearing you talk.
Now you got to. It fills in some time before the day started on Friday.
Well, let me tell you this. Something very important. I want you to give us your analysis on the Super Bowl. Either today or tomorrow. What do you think?
Let me call you tomorrow. Let me think about it.
All right.
I'll give you a call.
All right, okay. So we're going to call it Bud's Big Pick.
Bud's Big Picks. There you go.
Okay, man. Hey, we appreciate you, man, and enjoy you.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Take care. And I tell you what, that young man from Highland Home knows his ball, I promise you. And I want to say good morning to Ben Beer this morning. Thank goodness he knew his ball when he helped lead Troy and gave the tremendous support for Troy to go Division 1A one day, and now we're a 1A town, something that very few towns in America can say they are. I will say this, that and this was brought out not long ago, the population of cities that have a university in that city, that is a 1A city. The only town that is smaller than Troy is West Point, New York, the home of the Army and the cadets of Army. So Troy is the next to the last smallest town in America with a Division 1A university, and of course, we're so excited that we've had the people on board as far as our leadership and at Troy University, and people that were great supporters, like a Ben Beard, like a Wiley Locklear, like a bunch of great people out there, and Nick Severa, and of course, we appreciate those people like that love their university so much that they wanted it to be the best it could ever be. And of course, Richard Dowling from Enterprise was one of those guys, and the late Dr. Doug Hawkins was one of those guys. We could go on and on with the support. Of course, having an athletic director like Johnny Williams, all of that led to Troy becoming a Division 1A program, as we did back in the early 1980s. Of course, baseball is just around the corner, and Troy pitcher Andrew Crane has been named the preseason Sun Belt Pitcher of the Year. Now, how do you do that? The preseason Sun Belt Pitcher of the Year. He's a native of Pascagoula, Mississippi, and he's was honored by the Sun Belt Conference recently at their meeting, and was named to a first team All Sun Belt Conference team. And of course, he had a wonderful year last year with a 1.47 ERA, and he'll be one of the pitchers that we'll be watching closely. Also, another young man making the first team all. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Morning.
Mike Amos calling in from Birmingham, Alabama this morning. What's the temperature in the big city this morning?
I don't know. It's not too bad. It's around 40. I think a lot of rain's coming later on this afternoon.
But it looks like Saturday though it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I hope.
On Saturday, and then more rain on Sunday is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. So.
Of course,
Not too bad.
Yeah. Of course, the Super Bowl weekend, and I can't even really get into it much. It just doesn't do much for me. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, the Eagles have had a great season, and especially when Wentz got hurt, Foles has come in, and they're going to make it to the Super Bowl. It's just kind of same old, same old. Everybody hates Alabama, and everybody hates New England.
And everybody hates the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where
you were born and raised in my house, and how in the world could you not have been a Yankee fan? You were always a big Brave fan, weren't you?
Well, I mean, I think it was a regional thing more than anything. The Braves were always on WTBS.
And they were on TV. That's right, they were on TV every night.
We could get a station out in New York though, where we would watch some Yankees games every once in a while.
Do you know?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie though. I mean, the years I grew up kind of watched the Braves before, like I guess '90 when they went on that huge run.
A lot of times you were watching the Braves when you were either supposed to be studying or abed asleep.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things growing up. I mean, I watched baseball games probably 2 or 3 a day. I mean, it's one of those things now. I don't even know if I can watch 2 or 3 innings of a major league game.
And I was going to say that I think it's the popularity has changed. I couldn't even tell you what channel the Braves played on.
The Braves play on Fox Sports and Fox.
Now there are a lot of people that sit at home, and that's all they do is sit at home. Are big Brave fans, isn't that right?
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while I'll listen to the Braves on the radio when I'm dropped. Don Sutton is their radio guy. He does a good job. But it's just one of those things. I'm just not a big baseball fan like I used to be.
Yeah. Well, back when you were a Brave fan, who was your favorite player?
It's probably definitely Chipper Jones.
All right, but now wait a minute. Chipper's not too much older than you are.
I know, but he's my age, pretty much.
I know, but who else did you like?
Little was Dale Murphy.
Yeah, you liked Dale Murphy, and
I mean, there was Bob Horner. There was, Gerald Perry playing first base. I mean, there was a bunch of
Necro. You liked Necro, didn't you?
Well, the Necro was kind of, I'm too young for that. I mean, he's probably still pitching.
Yeah.
I grew up with Glavine, Maddox, Smoltz.
Yeah. Stop right there. That's got to be the best pitching combination ever. The only one I can think that is close to it is when the Cleveland Indians had Early Wynn, Bob Feller, and Bob Lemon. Those were 3 real good pitchers on the same staff. Can anybody think of a better pitching staff than those 2 right there?
I mean, I'm sure the Yankees had some pretty good pitching staffs over the years.
Well, they always did it mostly with power. I got tickled.
I mean, the Mets back in the day used to have Doc Gooden, David Cone.
Oh yeah, now Seaver. They had Seaver.
No, I'm talking about actually on the same staff together.
Well, Seaver
they had Darling, Ron Darling. They had Doc Gooden. They had David Cone. They had a really good pitching staff for a while.
All right. They also had Seaver. They had the fireballer. Nolan Ryan. Were they on the same staff?
Yeah.
Who else was on that staff? With Seaver and Ryan, Nolan Ryan, and Who would be the other one? Not Ron. Was Ron Darling? What the other
Darling
one?
was, he was an '80s guy.
Yeah.
He was like Darryl
Looking for the
Strawberry,
best
Keith
three
Van Ness,
pitchers on one staff in the country. You know, the great pitching.
I mean, the best pitching staff of all time, they say, is Smoltz, Maddox, and Clavin. They're all three Hall of Famers.
Yeah, that's right. Well, these Indians are all three Hall of Famers: Bob Lemon, Bob Fella, and who's my other one? Bob Fella. And then you had a young pitcher named Herb Score that got hit by a line drive. You know who hit that line drive, Mike?
I don't
Somebody
know.
call me up and tell me who hit that line drive that destroyed Herb Score's career. And of course, he threw the ball close to 100 miles an hour, and he was a great pitcher.
Alabama fans took a horrible loss last night. If they want to make the NCAA tournament, they're going to have to earn it. They got a lot of games on the road against Florida, Kentucky, Auburn. I mean, really, Missouri just dominated that game from the get-go last night. Shocking that they could play that well against Oklahoma and then get beat by a Missouri team that lost 3 in a row.
Yeah.
I hate it too. I hate it for all these Alabama fans that bought all these season tickets for basketball this year, thinking this team was going to be one of the best in years, and it's been a big disappointment to be.
I tell you, they shot free throws, they would have won the game last night. That was not a good Missouri team, was it?
14-8.
Yeah.
They were the last 4 out of the bracket. They played a really good non-conference. They started the season like 12-1.
Who did?
Missouri did.
Oh boy, I didn't know that.
But Conto Martin's a really good coach. I mean, he's a guy that's been at Tennessee and been at Cal. And,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I tell you another team that's been sort of
I just don't know if Avery Johnson's a really good coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he can recruit really well, but I just don't know if he's a good X's and O's coach.
Well, who on their team can shoot the three? I know this that Missouri gave him a chance.
He's been really bad the last few games. He's really he scored 27.
He hasn't been good since the Auburn game, has he?
Yeah, he's really not playing well. And basically, the only person they had on the court last night was second.
Yeah. Mike, I haven't given up on Troy yet, and let me just say this, ladies and gentlemen.
Troy wins these next 3 games, they're right back in it,
right.
And then they got to go to Coastal Carolina. And if they don't want to beat somebody. If they don't want a revenge, letting Coastal Carolina come back from 15 down at home, they ought to be motivated for that game, too.
You know, Coastal turned around and won a big game the other night, Mike. They're getting better. But let me just say this.
I mean, Coastal Carolina's got a great coach, Cliff Ellis.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he doesn't know how to win.
Well, and of course, he played for the Villagers. He's a great
Singer.
Yeah, well, he is a singer and played the guitar, and of course, he was one of the lead singers for the band, the old band they called the Villagers, and they originated out of Marianna, Florida, out of the junior college there, and of course, he great rock and roll band. But Mike, right now, Bernardo, wouldn't you say is got to be one of the best players in the conference?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's one of the best players in the conference. I think Person's one of the best players in the
conference. All right,
conference.
Person's one of the best players in the conference.
It's just who's going to get the ball and who's going to get the shots.
And the big guy from Russell County High School is a pretty good player, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody questioning the talent. This is the most talented Troy team I thought we ever had. It's just they can't play well together.
I mean, didn't you feel like coming into the season that this could be? Now, I'm saying a lot when I say this now. Talent-wise, this could be one of the best teams Troy has ever put on the court. Is that right?
I say no doubt. And that comes down to Coach Cunningham and Coach Grant and Fletcher and Worley, all these guys that recruited these guys. I mean, I've never seen a more talented team. The only thing this team's lacking is another guy off the bench, a big guy off the bench to rebound.
Yeah.
That's really the only thing they're lacking is rebounding.
Well, and the big boy.
All rebounding is more than anything is hustle and position.
I'm gonna tell you what. And it's not just defensive rebounding, it's offensive rebounding. We're only getting one shot. We got to get more shots.
They really need the kid from Decatur to come on, the Johnson kid.
Yeah, I've talked to him the other day, and
6'8" too.
Yeah, he's a real prospect, no question about it. And
I worked with some guys that saw him in the state playoffs in Birmingham, and they said that Troy got the real deal, and they got him.
Well, and then
I'm surprised they got him out of Decatur too. I would have figured at UAB or some of those.
Well, if you look at it, Troy's got a chance to really.
Nashville, like Belmont and Liscombe, and all them have been recruiting hard too.
And Miller is really playing well right now. He's probably playing harder than anybody, and he's fast as lightning, and he can make a lot happen. But what I'm saying, they got 7 or 8 players I think that can play, don't you think?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, the biggest thing going down the stretch is chemistry. I mean, they just got to find a way to. I mean, they just got to basically find a way. The way they played down the stretch last season into the Sun Belt tournament, then they made it all the way to the NCAA tournament. So
Pike County Bank's got a grand opening
the only team
going
I think
on.
that could beat them, in the tournament is UT Arlington and Lafayette. I think those are the only 2 teams that can beat them.
Right, this weekend, Troy University's baseball team has come out and meet the Trojans, and they're giving away free hot dogs and T-shirts and some other things and some tickets to the game. And, of course, also the softball team will be recognized. Mike, give me your, not just by position, but your 10 favorite Troy baseball players of all time. Just give me a shot at it. Just give me a shot at it.
Oh, for you or me?
For you.
Man.
And I'm going to write mine down, and you can write yours down.
I mean, I guess I've got a baby in my home. I'm thinking right
Hey, Mary Prater, how you?
I guess top players. I mean, it's hard to do Division I and then.
Yeah, but all the way through. Yeah, you're right. Most probably.
I guess top players of all time are Danny Cox.
Yeah, played with the Cardinals.
James Ray.
James Ray, the great left-hander out of Jacksonville, Florida. Led Troy to a national championship.
Joel Smith, a catcher.
Joel Smith was a great one. You're exactly right, Mike.
Jorge Soto.
I remember Soto. You're right. He was a great one, too.
King was a great player.
Yeah, I remember him, yeah.
He hit like 400.
Hit a bunch of doubles, broke a record for doubles, too, I believe.
Yeah, and then you got guys like
Wendell Stevens, Dave Banks.
Joel Rinaldi.
David Banks, the Dr. David Banks. Jude Rinaldi. Whoa! Now, let me just say this, and you folks pass the word to anybody on the Hall of Fame committee. If Jude Rinaldi doesn't go, they finally wised up and put Wendell Stevens in there. I mean, they were, he's one of the all-time greats. But Jude Rinaldi, the great one out of, right there in I reckon the Sarasota area is where he was from. But you remember he won one World Series for Troy with one leg. You remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
And gosh, I've never seen anybody in a championship situation being injured do so much than Jude Rinaldi did. And I think he would go down as one of the all-time greats. But really, those are great names. Any more out there?
I mean, you had guys off that team a few years ago, that put up huge numbers. I mean, it really just comes down.
Who was the guy? All right, Soto was the one that hit so many home runs, wasn't he? He's the one that hit 30 home runs, wasn't he? Or 20?
Yeah, maybe he did hit 30. I can't remember.
27 to 30, something like that. Yeah.
And then you got, you got so many guys. I mean, it's really hard to do.
I know.
You got with the Riddle teams. You got who was the guy that was not Felix, Perez.
Yeah, Perez was a great one. He pitched just 1 year, but led Troy to the World Series championship. And
is Mike Perez the one that pitched for the Cardinals too?
Yeah, pitched for the Cardinals and still holds a record that might not ever be broken. When he pitched I want to say pitched for Memphis in the AAA, or I want to say Memphis. He had something like 47 saves. Was that unbelievable?
And then you got Pierce's guys that were like two of the. I mean, a lot of people don't remember this. what a great pitcher he was, but Josh Dew was one of the most
Oh,
dominant
Josh
closers
Dew was a great player.
and first basemen I've ever seen.
He had an unhittable pitch. His
Yeah.
sinker, oh no, not a sinker, but what would you call it?
Change up?
Well, it wasn't his changeup. What would you call it? It was this slider. I reckon it was this slider.
Yeah, maybe it was a slider.
That was just unhittable. I mean, it would drop just like off the table. You know, he was a great player. You're right.
Then you had Clint Robinson.
And
Really
Clint Robinson played in the major leagues, and of course Cox and Clint played in the major leagues. You can name them almost on a hand. How many made it to the major leagues?
Yeah, I mean Troy had another guy named Mike Felix that was really good.
Oh yeah, he really was. He really was. He was a transfer from Auburn, wasn't he?
I don't know if he was transferred from Auburn, but he was a good hitter and pitcher.
Yeah, that's right. Played right field.
Chase Whitley was a good hitter and pitcher.
Yeah.
Chase Whitley's still pitching in the major leagues.
Is he still in the major leagues?
Yeah, he was with Tampa Bay last year. He had a good season.
I knew he was with the Yankees for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Well,
it's too tough to really narrow
Yeah.
the can. I mean, you could go to Warren Arrington, Vince Kendrick.
Yeah, some great ones. You're right.
It's just, I mean, there's a lot of them.
Go to Arrington out of Jeff Davis High School, played
You
center
kind of
field.
have to do a Division II list and a Division I list.
Arrington would almost have to be the best leadoff hitter to ever play for Troy. He hit more home runs as a leadoff hitter than anybody in history, I think. And wanted a great.
You had other guys like James Coachman. I mean, you had a lot of guys.
And Coachman came out of Cottonwood and was a great player. And of course, all you got to do if you ever in Dothan or around the Cottonwood area, you mentioned Coachman, and everybody looks up. Man, they were great players. But I tell you a good one from Headland, Mike. Jody Singleton. You remember him?
Yeah.
You remember how good he was?
Well, I mean, you got Jody Ryan.
Jody Ryan, the great one. You're right, the pitcher.
I mean, you had all. I mean, it's almost easier to do like the best baseball players ever out of Troy, like the city of Troy, in a top 10, maybe than doing like Troy University. That's just too many guys.
Well, I tell you, you're right. That'd be hard to do.
I mean, how can you leave out Mark Smart, the head coach?
Yeah, I know. He batted 400 2 years in a row. He was a great player at second base, and for him. Of course, there was always some great shortstops. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
But you're right. You could just almost sit here all day and mention baseball players that were good at Troy during all those the heydays of great baseball teams. But it was a lot of fun to keep up with. Of course, out of Troy. Who would be so? I would put Ronnie Lindsay in there, the great little left-handed pitcher that was so good. Ronald Giddings was another guy that signed that was really a good player. Who's some of yours?
Sam Drake, Ryan Meadows.
What do they call Sam Drake?
What was it? Sudden Sam Drake.
Sudden Sam Drake. All right, all right. Who else?
I mean, you had Rod McWhorter, you had Ross Enright. I mean, you had tons of great players.
Yeah, you're right.
Up in Troy.
But Ricky Knox, you remember Ricky?
The guy that used to hit more home runs than anybody I'd ever seen in my life growing up was Melvin Jackson.
Yeah, Melvin Jackson. Boy, whatever happened to him? He was a great one.
His power.
You're right. He was a great one, no question. Now, all of those Pew boys were pretty good.
Yeah.
Dax and all those Pew boys were all good players.
But, I mean, they've had good pitchers, I mean.
And then, of course, one of them, you already mentioned Meadows. I'm sure you already mentioned Meadows.
Chase Smart, but then you got to think of all the kids on Derek Iron's teams. You got the all those great players. Joey Dennison off those teams.
Oh, yeah. And there's a real good article in the day's paper, ladies and gentlemen, about Joey Dennison coming back after surgery. And let me just say this, Mike, we've talked about this. We've got a linebacker playing right field. Wouldn't you say? Boy, what a great high school linebacker he was. And I really believe that's helped him become such a great baseball player, his strength. I mean, you look, how many times you heard people say that it's all in your legs? Well, hey, I don't know if anybody got any stronger legs than Dennison,
I mean, you know better though. I mean, in the 60s and 70s, who were the great baseball players then?
Oh, yeah, you mean out of Troy?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're right. And I'll tell you one. There was a picture from out. Well, of course, one of them is Mike Lott. Mike Lott pitched college baseball, down in Dothan, and pitched at Troy. And of course, he was a good player. And one of my buddies grew up over on 2nd Avenue. He's an accountant in Dothan now. That was a real good pitcher, and I'm trying to think of.
But I'll say this, naming all these folks, I mean, by far, Troy's the most baseball crazy town that it's ever been in the last 10 years.
Yeah, no question about it. And
baseball is like 365 in Troy now. You got more kids playing baseball than any other sports.
Oh yeah, no question about it. And I was talking to some people yesterday. That a lot of the kids now play this travel ball. But listen, play for your recreation department. Represent your community, your town, playing rec ball first, and then after rec season's over, play travel ball. Don't you agree?
Yeah, but parents don't care about that, man. It's all about trying to get their kid a scholarship.
Yeah. or get drafted, is that right?
Well, I don't know about get drafted, but that's why you got so many kids injuring arms, Tommy John and all that.
Back when I played, I played a lot of baseball, but it just wasn't as big a thing. I mean, everybody loved to play, but nobody thought about scholarships back then. Nobody thought about winning state championships back then. Of course, everybody's dream as a kid would be to go to Williamsport, but boy, how many teams can you think of that you can name that went to Williamsport? And there was one team out of Atlanta and one team out of Phoenix City that won the Little League World Series. Is that right?
Yeah, but Troy's not in the Little League.
I know. They're Dixie Boys now. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, only one I can remember is the Rasmussen kids at Phoenix City won it all.
That's right. And one of those guys is playing in the major leagues. Is that right?
Yeah, they said Jake Fromm, the Georgia quarterback, was a star player in the Little League World Series.
I remember that. I remember it. And then earlier than that, my preacher's son, and gosh, back that married my wife and I back in 1970, Clark Hutchinson, his son played on the World Series championship team out of Atlanta or Marietta. You remember that?
Okay. No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, exactly right. We're gonna take a short break. We're talking back and forth today, back and forth. Call in and join us. We'd love to talk with you this morning.
Have you seen an increase in your insurance premiums or significant change in your insurance coverage? Let Sandbeck Insurance offer you a better plan to suit your business or personal needs. Sandbeck Insurance offers many lines of insurance, whether it's home, farm, or auto insurance, work comp, business, or health and life policies. Sandbeck is here for you. Call or visit our Troy, Enterprise, or Andalusia office today. Sandbeck Insurance, where we take pride in taking care of your insurance.
Here's some Napa know-how for you. Your local Napa Auto Parts store in Troy is under new ownership with an all-new fully stocked store. Big deal, you say? Big deal, we say. Like the ownership, the store has a new look, too. We're still delivering the same Napa quality and know-how, but we've increased our inventory and are committed to helping you find the parts you need when you need them. So come check us out. We've got the right part at the right price at the right time.
Know-how, Napa know-how.
Life is hectic enough without worrying if your lights will stay on or if there's hot water for your child's bath. So count on natural gas to keep the energy flowing, even when the weather is unpredictable. Natural gas is always there to keep your home warm, showers hot, and food cooked to perfection. That's why America has relied on safe and affordable natural gas for more than 150 years. And we will be here for you and future generations too. You can count on natural gas from Southeast Alabama Gas.
Okay. Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by South Main Jewelers on the Main Street in Brundage, and appreciate them. Jean's Flowers, boy, Valentine's just around the corner. Jean's Flowers is there, located on South Brundage Street, and for gift ideas, no better place to go than Jean's Flowers on South Brundage Street, right here in Troy. Want to mention Little Caesars. Mike, I don't know if anybody does it any better than Little Caesars, and the thing about it, you don't have to wait. How many times you go in a pizza place and you have to wait? Let me put you on hold a minute. We got a call coming in. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, Mike, it's Neil Armstrong. How you doing this morning?
Neil Armstrong, well, my good buddy. How's everything going with you today?
And if it was any better, I'd be you.
Yeah, okay. What's been going on?
Man, I just enjoying the show, just like always, but I just want to call in and throw in a couple of more names.
Yeah, I want to hear them.
You and Mike Jr. talking about good baseball players coming out of Troy.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to name a few. Terry Sykes.
Oh, yeah, the great Terry Sykes. Remember?
He went on and played in Dothan and had a big career down at Wallace in Dothan.
Oh, yeah.
Now I'm going to go back a little ways. How about Ed Black, Ralph's son?
Yeah, Ed played at Troy. Yeah, no question about it.
And look at these two went to Division I up at Auburn. How about Kyle Ingalls?
Yeah, I remember Kyle Ingalls. Yes, sir. Played at Auburn.
How
Yeah.
about Alan Argini played at Auburn?
Yeah, yep. I think they were walk-ons. Both of them were walk-ons, and they both made it. Yeah.
Hey, they played with Frank Thomas and Bo Jackson.
Oh yeah.
How about that?
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, we didn't get into. I mean, we could have. I didn't delete them because they weren't worthy. I just, we were just sitting here throwing names out.
My mind went to cranking when I heard y'all's names.
Yeah.
I said I got to call in and ask.
I'll tell you, there was another great pitcher. You had Ricky Knotts and the other pitcher, and then of course, everybody talks about Sudden Sam Drake. But there was another great pitcher right there that was really, really good. He's a big-time accountant in Dothan now. Was raised over on 2nd Avenue. What's his name?
Well, Mike, I just can't spot who you're trying to. I believe I know Blaine Stewart.
Not Blaine, but close to it. And I thought he was a very good pitcher.
Blaine went on and played at Troy too.
Exactly. Blaine was a good player.
I got a couple more. How about Chris and Mike Huner, Herbie's boys?
Exactly.
Both played at Troy. How about this one? My little brother-in-law, Daniel Porter.
Yeah, Daniel Porter played. Yeah, exactly.
How about this one, Mike? Brett Pierce, the great Ron Pierce's son.
Oh, yeah, played at Troy. You're right. Ron Pierce himself was a pretty good player, too.
Pretty good. And how about one right now played at Division I, Chandler Avan out of Pike Lift?
No question. No question. And of course, again, I'm offering everybody to call in and mention all these guys, and you like I said, you can sit here and call them out, and of course,
y'all mentioned Sam Drake. He went on to pitch at Georgia Tech, if you'll remember.
That's right. Was one of the top freshman pitchers when he came in, and had a great future, and I think he hurt his arm or something, but he was a great one. Of course, great recreation guy. I like these kids that play rec ball in Troy, and then move on to other things. Don't you?
I do too. Represent our great city.
That's
of
right.
Troy. Dan Smith and them do a wonderful job. Bo Gaylord used to be over
back
then when we played. But man, what a wonderful recreation department the city of Troy puts on. Everybody, all these kids always represent us with class.
Oh yeah. Boy, I'm glad you called in, because you're right. There's a lot of great players out there. There's a young man that was a good football player that also played at Wallace of Dothan with Mike Lott and some of those guys. What was his name?
Oh man.
He's probably older than you. How much older is Mike Lott than you?
Mike is about 6 years older than me.
Okay, all right. So he was a great player that played down there.
He also played on the state championship football team in 1980.
He sure did. A little running back. How about the D's kid? He also played junior college ball. You remember the D's?
Yeah, Shane.
Shane, but there was another one. There was
I know who you're talking about. I can't remember
the
his
D's
name.
boys.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And of course,
I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, I'm glad you called. And how things been going with you?
Going good. Just real busy down at the police department. Just a lot of stuff going on. Just can't get enough done in the day. Just busy. Now,
Charles Henderson's got a big basketball game this weekend against Carroll of Ozark. Is that a playoff game? Is that a region game, or what is that?
It is the area tournament, at the end of the season.
Yeah, the area tournament. And Charles Henderson, let me tell you this, is the big kid for Charles Henderson, the Campbell kid, is he a senior?
His name's Kelshawn Campbell.
Let me tell you something. He's one of the best-looking athletes that ever come out of Charles Henderson High School. You mean what I said? Best-looking athletes.
You know, he was our tight end.
Yeah.
You know, on the football team, and Noah Lowry would just kind of throw him the jump balls every now and then on those 50-50 passes. And, man, he sure would get up there.
Well, I tell you what, he is a real physical specimen, and he's a great athlete. I could see somebody trying to sign him. I tell you, he's a heck of a looking athlete.
He is getting some looks in basketball, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I've already heard. I don't know who, but I have heard that there has been some people there watching him.
You know, I was raving on about Charles Henderson the other night about how their fans get into the game, and all those students over there. And when they hook arms, you know what I'm talking about? When they hook arms.
Yes, that's pretty neat.
And sway back and forth. Well, Coach Cunningham was at the game, looking at that big kid, probably from Lamp, that was so good. Did you see that kid?
I did not get to see that one.
Yeah, well, he was really a good player. But I'm sure he was telling Coach Grant that he wishes Troy University fans would get into it like that.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know who the ringleader that is, but somebody, it's some guy, one of the...
It's Will Reeves is the ringleader.
All right, Will Reeves is the ringleader. And I tell you what, young man, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody, any students get after it any more than that.
And they really do. They have a good time, and it's fun to watch.
Now, you know, this
when I was in high school back in the late 80s, and I graduated in 88, but in 87, 88, we pushed for the state championship twice in basketball and played for the state championship in 88. And we also followed basketball just like that, so it's almost like it used to be. I like it.
You know, I don't know if it's the Lord doing this or what, but the Lord had just put a name in my head that the name I was looking for was Danny Hanson. You remember him?
Yes.
Boy, how good was he?
He was wonderful.
I mean, I know he played junior college ball. He might have played at Troy, but wasn't he a good player?
He sure was. And you talking about the gene pool? He went on. His daughter is now the star pitcher at Samford University in fast pitch softball.
Oh gosh! Now, how did Troy miss out on her?
I don't know, but they sure did.
But I tell you what, Danny Hanson was a great one, and you know, I mentioned Ricky Knotts. Do you remember Ricky Knotts?
I do, Mike.
Boy, he was good, and you know, of course, he pitched a no-hitter at Troy later on. But one of the young recreation pitchers that was so good, you know, he and Drake came around about the same time, and Hanson pitched during that time. Those were three pretty good pitchers right there. You remember that?
Sure, you're right.
No question. Of course, you know, we could sit here and talk and throw out even more names out there that were really good players. And of course, Jimmy Norman from Goshen, you know, you could say he's from Troy because he played in the Troy Rec Leagues, and he later on played with the Cubs. And of course, you know, runs that filling station over there with all the good tater logs. You ever had their tater logs?
Yes, sir.
How good are they, brother?
Well, Mike, let me get back to work.
Hey, before you get off, is everything good with your family and everything?
Everybody's good right now, yes, sir.
Well, you and your wife are starting to cry a little bit, though, because that girl plays her senior year this spring. Is that right?
Yes, sir. It's everything she's doing. Me and my wife Michelle just say, "Well, this will be her last go round with this." And it is getting emotional.
But you know this, you made it happen though, where you got another one to watch grow up.
Yes, sir. We got another.
How old is she?
In the 5th grade.
That's quite a separation.
Well, you know, it's the way the good Lord works.
That's right. That's exactly right. And hey, and of course the great one just sits back and has enjoyed a lot of great moments, hasn't he?
Yes, sir.
Glenn Daniel. And
I saw him and spoke to him yesterday. He was in town for my father-in-law's retirement ceremony over at the university. So I got to shake his hand and talk to him yesterday. It's always good to catch up with Coach Daniels. And
I tell you what, your father-in-law has done so much for Troy University. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Kurt Porter has really been very, very instrumental in the international program. And he's been all over the world many times, hasn't he?
Yes, sir. And
has that always been a pleasure, or you know, he's gone so many times? Does it get old, or does he still get excited about it?
Oh, he gets excited about it. He loves it. You know, he started out in the history department,
That's
and he
right.
became the dean of the history, and headed up the history department at the university for 15 years or so. And then, as the Troy universities started branching out to be a global university and recruit students from all over the world, they needed somebody to attend these global meetings all over the world to recruit students to our university, and he was the first one to man up. And way back in the early 90s, he started flying all over the world to recruit foreign students from all over the world, and now he's done such a great job. Troy University is just like the billboard says out on 231, where East meets West.
I tell you what, and he was just a perfect fit. You know, I mean, he, first of all, he wasn't afraid. You know, you can't be afraid to go all over the world. You know, he'd been to some places that were pretty tough to go to. I mean, but, you know, he enjoyed it and made it happen, didn't he?
Yes, he does. You ought to see his passport. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, God. Amazing.
He has taken my daughter for graduation to France and Munich and all of. They're taking a trip to Europe, and he's going to show her the ropes over there.
Oh man, that is fantastic. Are they going? It's going to be mostly for students or any of the townspeople?
No, this is just a trip he's planned as a graduation gift for my daughter.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, that is going to be wonderful. Wonderful.
Week and a half.
Well, you ought to jump on that wagon, man. That especially have a guy like him to show you. He probably knows that area better than anybody, doesn't he?
He does. He loves that. He knows the ropes when he gets to those cities. He's already been there and done that.
Well, thank you so much, my good friend.
All right, Mike. You take care, man. I'm gonna come in and visit one morning.
Hey, do. I'd love to have you, and love to have you call in any day too, and come visit us.
All right, Mike.
Bye bye. You on Today in L.A.? Good morning.
Morning.
That was Brother Armstrong calling in, throwing in quite a few more names, Mike, that, you know, like Kyle Ingalls, like Alan Argenti, like Ed Black, Terry Sykes. They were all good, weren't they?
Yeah, I forget about, you know.
And how about the great Danny Hansen? You remember how good he was?
Yeah, I do. Of course, growing up, when I was a kid, there was always a bunch of Rushings playing for Charleston.
Oh, yeah, a bunch of Rushings. And they all came out of Spring Hill, Alabama. Hey, listen, led by the great Olin Rushing. Hey, he threw it as hard as anybody. And, you know, we could start throwing out names like Wendell Stevens, his father and cousins and uncles. You know, all of that comes out of that lineage there. You know.
Going to daycare and just past Mountain Brook High School. Who's the greatest athlete ever to come out of Mountain Brook High School?
All right, who's the greatest athlete ever came out of Mountain Brook High School?
I figured you'd say this immediately. He was on the '79 national championship team.
Oh yeah, great running back, number 42.
Major Ogilvy.
Major Ogilvy was a great one, no question. Number 42, wasn't it?
I can't remember what he was.
You know, when they won the national championship playing against Arkansas, it was Stedman, Shealy, and Major Ogilvy leading the attack. Of course, the great I tell you what, I'm going to bring Stedman on this show one day. He's one of my all-time favorites, especially quarterbacks at Alabama. Do you remember when he tore his knee up and was out the whole year, and he came back for the Auburn game? Do you remember that?
See, I can't remember that because I was like 3 or 4 years old.
And he ran that option late in the ball game, ran 20 yards for a touchdown to beat Auburn. Of course, it was the great Stedman Shealy out of Dothan, Alabama.
There you go. I guess back then it was Dothan High. There was no Northview.
Stedman played at Dothan High. You might not have been in Northview then. I'm not sure. Now,
okay.
Of course, you know, they had some other great ones that came out of Dothan during that time. And, of course...
He played at Auburn. I guess Ingalls played at Auburn.
Yeah, they weren't signed. They were both walk-ons, but ended up making the team.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I think that if Morgan Ingram had walked on, probably would have made the team. He was a heck of a pitcher.
You talking Austin or Austin?
Yeah, Austin, not Morgan. Austin Ingram. I still can't get over what a great quarterback Austin Ingram was.
Charles Henderson had that great pitcher when they won the state championship. What's his name? Van Horn. That was really good.
Yeah. Gosh, we got to mention Van Horn. Golly.
Yeah,
and he pitched at Troy, too, Van Horn did. But you're right, Van Horn was outstanding. Of course, he hit the home runs. You remember that? 2 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, Van Horn, you're right, will always go down. That's why I'm saying you can sit here and name them over and over.
You got to look at Levi Garrett's team.
Oh, yeah, and you're exactly right.
Teams. I mean, you got so many different teams.
Oh, yeah, no question about it.
Then you had Hogan's teams, and you had, who was before Hogan? Butch.
Yeah. I tell you who was a great center fielder. Now, he wasn't a great hitter or anything, but he was a good solid ball player. Played center field with Julius Pittman. You remember how good he was in baseball, too? Well, of course, he later on played wide receiver at Troy. Yeah, huh?
Julius was just a good athlete all around.
Yeah, you're right. He was. And, of course, it's a lot of fun to sit back and reminisce. And, hey, we'll let the folks from Goshen.
You ought to call we ought to call my cousin, your nephew, Chris Amos. He can tell you a lot of great baseball players.
Yeah, no question. He was a good one himself. Hey,
I'll tell you another great one, and unfortunately passed away not too long ago. Will Green was a great baseball player.
Oh, yeah, Will Green was a good one, and, of course, the late Will Green.
Great player at Troy, too.
Wasn't he the winner of the first Johnny Till Award? I want to say.
He might have been.
Who's the other big guy?
You had Will Green, I think maybe was the first, but then you had the big tight end that was a couple years older than me, Dominic Jones.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Of course, we're having fun here reminiscing. I could reminisce a lot about Brundage, Mike. They've had some great baseball players over the years, and and Goshen.
Guys I grew up with were, was Marcus Bryant.
Marcus Bryant was pretty darn good, wasn't he? And Trey Wright.
Well, Trey Wright, Trey grew up and actually played at Jeff Davis.
Yeah.
And he was talking about that the other day in Montgomery. Because I guess he grew up around Ranger.
But he played summer league ball with Troy, didn't he?
Oh yeah, well he'd always play on Marcus Bryant's team, so I guess that's why I always thought they always played together at Pike County.
Yeah, and one day we'll talk about some of the great coaches like Marcus Bryant. Wasn't he a good coach? And of course, and Watson Wendell. Hey, and I tell you what, Edwin Meadows was a heck of a coach too, wasn't he?
When you had him and Edwin Meadows going up against each other.
Oh boy, you're right. You're right. They were, they were good friends, but you're right, they were competitors, weren't
they? Yeah.
Of course, the great, it'd be fun to get Meadows on here and let him, he could reminisce a little bit too, couldn't he?
Oh yeah, Brian could go back to a lot of, Dixie youth, through, Dixie majors, and then. Of course, all those different World Series and tournaments they played in. I mean, he could go. No telling how many guys he played against over his lifetime.
Well, let me tell you this: the best Little League pitcher I have ever seen was Rip Talbot. Rip Talbot was
the pitcher that was in Sports Illustrated when I was growing up was Andy Blair.
Andy Blair was in Sports Illustrated. Those Blairs. Hey, listen, his daddy was a great player too, Harry Blair. You could just go on and on. Jerry Hooks was a great player. Herbie Hunter was a good player.
Think about Chris and Mike.
Yeah, Craig. Well, he mentioned that. Armstrong mentioned those two just a while ago, and you're right. Went on and played college ball, and it's just amazing the great athletes, the great baseball players that came through. Terry Jenright was a good player, Mike. He was a catcher, and he was a good player.
We had Ross and Russ.
And Ross and Russ both were good players. Of course, Ross, I tell you, he won a game at Troy with a grand slam home run that I'll always remember. You remember that?
Yeah, beat AUM.
AUM, and of course their great coach.
They had started. Sutton's son in that game too, Darren Sutton.
Yeah, started Don Sutton's son in that ball game. But of course their coach was a great coach.
QB Low.
QB Low. But he had never beaten Troy. He had never beaten Chase Riddle's teams. And, Coach Riddle never did say anything about it, but we knew about it all the time. And it was late innings, Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to hear this. It was late innings, and they led the whole ball game. I want to say it was 9-5, 9-4, I think we finally cut it to 9-6 in the last inning, the last at bat, and Ross Jenright steps up, Mike. And Ross never pulled the ball. He was not a pull hitter. He always hit the ball to the opposite field. But it was a good hitter, and hit it, and he lined one over the right field scoreboard, Mike. Grand slam home run. and I think QB went another 3 or 4 years without beating Chase Riddle,
I had a big night that night, too. I think I went 4 for 5 playing cup ball.
Yeah, I mentioned cup ball yesterday, and the guy didn't know what I was talking about.
But that's all we did growing up was play cup ball at Troy.
Exactly, getting these paper cups and winding them up and throwing them and hitting them with your hand. You're right. You're a cup ball champion, weren't you?
Yeah.
But that's what y'all do.
I was a champion, and then in junior high, I was a gym hockey champion. I was one of the best gym hockey players.
Well, let me just say this: y'all played cup ball.
They didn't offer the sports I was great at.
Y'all. Well, let me just say this: cup ball was a big sport because y'all played it for hours, didn't you?
Yeah,
How much fun has it been to follow?
I was also a paper football champion too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. I know how that is. You make that paper and you do that right there with your field goal. Is that right?
Yeah, you hold your fingers.
How many times have you been in a class and you play kick?
Many times getting in trouble playing that.
Oh yeah, and how many people now? You got to improvise, and that was the way to improvise. And you play that little kickball. But how many times have you stuck a can in a couch and put a pillow up against it and take a tennis ball and play basketball? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, I have.
Your brother, your Uncle Joel and I used to do that all the time. We always had to improvise.
The only thing I didn't grow up playing was stickball. I know stickball was big in your generation.
Well, it was huge. And let me just tell you this right now. You can take a broomstick, just an ordinary broomstick, and you can take a little plastic golf ball. Everybody's seen a plastic golf ball that has holes in it. Wrap it with tape a little bit and leave a few holes there and wrap it with tape enough where it got sort of heavy, a little bit heavy, where you could throw it like a baseball. And you go in your backyard, and 2 people can play it, and where it's strike 3, you're out, and you can have 1 out or 3 outs, whatever. But what you do, you line off an area where it had a single, and then you move on and you line off an area, not line off an area, just put a brick there where it was a single, put a brick where there's a double, a brick where there's triple, and there's a brick where there's a home run. Well, I played in my backyard for hours and hours. We call it cork ball, but it was you call it stick ball or whatever. But what you did, 2 people could play. This is what's so great about it. It still would be a great game today. It really would be. Where 2 people could play it, the pitcher and the batter, and you throw it. And if he strikes out, he's out. If he hits the ball and you stop him before it goes past that single mark, he's out. And most of the time we just had 1 out. And we played 9 inning games over and over and over. Now you could, if you had more players, you could have more than 1 out. But then you could do it with 3 players. And what you would do, you would have a batter, a pitcher, and a catcher. And each one of them kept up with their own score. Of course, like if you and back then, if you threw the ball and you swung and missed and the catcher caught it, you were out. That was just one of the rules. But and then of course the way you scored was, you hit the ball and it goes for a double. So you have an imaginary guy on second base, and then the next guy hits it. I think we allowed him to go just to third, so he's first and third. And the next one hits it and goes to a double. Well, it knocks in 2 runs, and you keep up with those runs that way. And
I know you're old. Did y'all have wiffle ball?
Yeah, we had wiffle ball, but
we would always tape a wiffle ball and make it a little bit heavier.
Yeah, well, see that we taped our ball and made it a little bit heavier, and let me tell you this: we threw it pretty hard, And then if you ever caught that ball, though, with that broomstick solid, boy, it was no better feeling. Of course, if the guy ran back and caught it, he was out. But we had a wall, which was my house, and if it hit the wall, it was a home run. We played for hours and hours. And then you could play with 3 people, and then what you do, you would alternate, and each three of you had your own little team, and the catcher would go to pitcher, and the pitcher catcher would go to the batter, and the batter would go to the pitcher, and you just move around that way. Now you could do it with 2 people, and you'd have a pitcher and a catcher, and you did it with 4 people. What I'm saying, 2 on each team, and then you could do it on 3 on each team if you wanted to. It just was a great game. A lot of it was in your head, how you kept up with the score and all that, but we did it. And when we played baseball that night, that baseball looked like a grapefruit compared to that little practice golf ball, Mike.
Yeah. All right, man. Let me get these kiddos.
All right. Thank you so much for calling here. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we're ad-libbing a little bit, and that was one of the things we grew up doing. Now, I've seen it played with a regular cork, and they would flip it like that. And William Davis and Kenny and Freddie Howard and Kenny Davis and some of those guys used to play it all the time with cork ball. And you can make that cork do all kinds of things, and it was fun to play too. And you didn't have to have a big field to play because you could only hit it so far, and it really was fun. Of course, I can remember throwing a baseball up against steps, on my front steps, and I throw it, and that tennis ball would bounce back. Sometimes it'd come right back to you. Sometimes it'd hit the ground. Sometimes it'd go over your head. You didn't know how that ball was going to come off those steps, but you could play an imaginary ball just right there, And of course, you throw it. If you caught it, he was out. It was fun, but it was things that you did back when there was no television, and we used to have some good times. And we used to go down to the stream in the gully behind my house and take a stick and get a little either a string as a clothesline, but most of the time we used fish line and wrapped it around that little stick, and then it had a little gold hook on it, and you would tie it on, and if you wanted to put a worm in there, you could, but you caught these little we call them horny heads. You would because they had little horns on the back of the head, and we did that and caught these old crawfish, and it was things that you found to do that you sort of ad-libbed and made up in your life that was the days before the TV. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
If you've had an accident or just want a new look for your vehicle, come see us at Troy Paint and Body, where we do it right the first time. Our staff has more than 100 years combined experience and can handle repairs and paint work on any make or model. We also offer a lifetime guarantee as long as you own your vehicle. Now that shows we stand behind our work. And our 24-hour towing service means we're here when you need us. So come see us at Troy Paint and Body, located on South Brundage Street in Troy beside the post office. Troy Paint and Body, where we may meet by accident, but you'll be glad we did.
The new Smokehouse Pizza from Little Caesars is our first pizza with 3 smoked meats. So we got barbecue champion Big Mo Quezon to test it out. 8-hour smoked brisket.
Certified beefified.
10-hour smoked pulled pork.
Certified hoggified.
Applewood smoked bacon.
Certified baconfied.
Drizzled with tangy barbecue sauce plus a Smokehouse seasoned crust.
Certified smokified.
The new Smokehouse Pizza. Only $9 and only at Little Caesars.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
Back to our show, and ladies and gentlemen, of course, this week we get ready for the Super Bowl Sunday, and of course that game will be played in Minneapolis between the New England Patriots and the Philadelphia Eagles, and I know a lot of folks are getting ready and they're going to have parties, and I tell you something, I recommend Hook's Barbecue. Order Hook's Barbecue today. and I promise you'll love it for the Super Bowl weekend, and of course whether or not it's thank you so much. Appreciate it, Scott, bringing me coffee this morning. The show is brought to you by Trojan Auto Parts. My good friend Mike Kilcrease, and ladies and gentlemen, located on South Grundy Street. Great people. And also I want to remind you, Trojan Detail, you want your car spick and span, they do a wonderful job of not only making your car or truck look like new again, make you feel proud yourself, and I tell you, they do a great job. I want to remind you that today, starting right here today, this morning, you can buy a quart of Camp Stew, and this is Carter Sanders Camp Stew, for just $10, and it'd be a donation to the Salvation Army. I've ordered 5, so I've got $50 worth I'm going to pick up, but it's my donation to the Salvation Army, and they're going to give me something back. They're going to give me a whole quart of delicious Camp Stew that I can have for lunch, or I can put in the refrigerator for supper, or I can freeze it for another day. But this would be a great gift to some people you know that would enjoy a good hot meal today, and at the same time it'll be your donation to the Salvation Army. And we appreciate Kim and all the great folks at Salvation Army right here in Troy for being such a great member of our community. Want to mention a few other things going on. Alabama, one of these cutie pies, and I'm going to call him a cutie pie because that's what it is when somebody arrests you for possession of marijuana. Major Tennyson, one of these good-looking tight ends at Alabama, young freshman, Alabama tight end Major Tennyson was arrested Tuesday on a charge of second-degree possession of marijuana, a Class A misdemeanor, according to the Tuscaloosa County Sheriff's Office. Tennyson remained secured on a $300 bond. I hope he couldn't make it, and was released from jail around 10:30 a.m. according to the records of the University of Alabama Campus Police. Second-degree marijuana possession is possession for personal use only, according to Alabama law. According to the incident report released by the University of Alabama, officers responded on Sunday to the 500 block of Devotee Drive near Bryant Hall dormitories. At 10:20 p.m., Tennyson was arrested Wednesday. No further information was released. A request for comment from Crimson Tide coach Nick Saban was unreturned. And of course, it's not even worth this guy. I tell you what, for even having anything to do with a drug that's not for your better welfare, anything that has anything to do with marijuana or any type of drug, if they've got it, or if they use it, or if it's part of their life, get rid of them. Get rid of them. We don't need them. If he's got to have marijuana, get rid of him. Hey, get rid of him. And that goes for any sport or any student or anything. If they got to have drugs to get by and make life a better thing, a better time, get them out of here. We do not need them. Anybody that's on drugs that's not pharmaceutical drugs that a doctor has prescribed to you to cure cold or whatever, you don't need it. And I hope he's kicked off the team and never let it come back, because just the principle of him thinking he's got to have marijuana, a drug which is a crime, whether you hear about it in some states that are legalized, it's still a crime in Alabama, and he is knowingly committing a crime if he had something to do with marijuana. And whoever out there that hears this message this morning, same with you too. So you should be put in jail, because it is a crime to smoke or possess marijuana without a doctor's prescription. Want to mention a few other things going on here. Some of the great basketball players in our county are getting ready, or our area getting ready for the state championships. One guy is Peyton Martavius of Georgiana, who scored 25 points in a win over Highland Home. Lamar Smith of East Memorial scored 23 points in a win over Patrician in the Alabama Independent School State quarterfinals. Adrian Person, hey, we got another person coming around, and I hope Troy will sign him in basketball. He scored 23 points in a 67-52 win over Kinston. Boy, I tell you what, 50 years ago, that would have been one great basketball game, Kinston and Brantley. Darrell Stewart of Evangel Christian scored 22 points in a win in the Alabama Independent School Championships over Jackson, 73-41. Lee Crawford of East Memorial scored 20 points in a win over Patrician in the Class 1A Championships. Tucker Kilcrease, one of those Kilcrease boys, scored 18 points in a 67-52 win over Kinston on Tuesday. And this is another name very well known. J. Michael Starworth of Georgiana scored 15 points in a win over McKenzie. A lot of basketball going on right now as the Alabama Independent Schools are right in the middle of their state championships, and there's some big games coming up this weekend. Want to mention a couple of them, and a friend of mine, an old friend of mine, is the head basketball coach at Macon East, and they have won, 20-something or 30-something straight games, and they were undefeated last year, and they're right in the finals. But here are the breakdowns of the state tournament being held at Crampton Bowl there in Montgomery. Glenwood is playing Monroe Academy. Glenwood's 19-6. Listen to this. Monroe's 8-11. Northside Methodist out of Dothan is, and they've got a good-looking team, 25-7. Plays Lee Scott today at noon. They're 19-9. Fort Dale only played 18 games, but they'll play Edgewood 13-13 at 3 o'clock today. These are girls. Tuscaloosa Academy 21-2. They're always good in basketball, playing another very good program. Lakeside 18-13. They play at 6 o'clock today, and their championship will be held next Monday. In boys action, in the Final Four of the Alabama Independent School basketball, Lee Scott plays Pike Liberal. Lee Scott, 19-9, plays Pike Liberal Arts boys today at 10 a.m. or 10:30. And I might run up there for this at Crampton Bowl. The Pike Liberal against Lee Scott. Hooper, 13-8, playing Tuscaloosa Academy, 16-8. They play today at 1:30. And then Lakeside again. Lakeside, 23-6, playing the Glenwood, 13-12 at 4:30 today. And then the other game, Springwood, 11-12 against Morgan, 13-6 at 7:30 tonight. That championship will also be played on Monday. So looking at some other teams from our general area, the girls Class 2A championships, Tauga plays Russell County of Mississippi. They beat them. And then Pickens beat Macon East. And this is still moving on right now. South Choctaw beat Emmanuel, and Wilcox beat Lowndes. So the championship of that league will be played on Monday. It'll be the winner of Watauga, Pickens, and South Choctaw and Wilcox. Of course, in Class 2A boys, Macon East, Coach Chapman, a longtime coach at AUM in Montgomery, has coached this team from Macon East the last 2 years. And in 2 years, his record is 67-2. He lost 2 games this year. Macon East 31-2 versus Watauga Academy 12-3. And they'll play Friday at 1:30. Also, Pickens will play Escambia also Friday. And then the championship game will be on Monday. So that's give you an idea of how some of these teams have come out. And of course, Evangel Christian and Chambers against Abbeville Christian and East Memorial. Those games will be played tomorrow, and then their championship also will be held on Saturday. So we'll be going over that. Taking a look at the Alabama high school standings, and we keep up with Charles Henderson. Charles Henderson is the #1 rated girls team in the state in Class 5A. They're 25-4, and of course their nemesis is Winona, who's won 3 or 4 state championships in a row. They're 20-7, and Eufaula is 23-4. They're ranked number 3 in Class 5A as we head toward the regional playoffs. And I was looking for some other area teams in our area that are mentioned in these top 10s. Montgomery Academy is ranked in 3A, so is T.R. Miller. And then Class 2A, Sampson, always good in girls basketball. They're 24-2, and they're ranked number 1 in the state right now. And of course, Geneva County of Hartford, the defending state champions last year, they're ranked number 8 in Class 2A, and GW Long is also ranked in the top 10 in Class 2A girls. So we'll be watching that closely, and some of the boys action in Class 7A. Mountain Brook out of Birmingham, 26-5, number 1. Then Hoover, 20-4. Huffman, 24-3, and Sparkman, 26-4, and then McGill-Tulane, 26-5. And that's the top 5 teams in the state. Looking at Class 5A, Eufaula ranks 3rd going into the playoffs. And to take a look, with nobody from this area in Class 4A, Hillcrest of Evergreen ranks 3rd in 3A, so they might try to win a state championship in basketball like they did in football. And of course, again, Georgiana ranked number 5 in Class 1A. They're 24-2, and that's the only team in this part of the state that are ranked in basketball. But I thought it'd be interesting for you to find out exactly who's playing who. Hope you've enjoyed our show today. You can watch us again today right here on this same channel, Channel 2, at 1:30. We hope you've enjoyed it, and you'll be with us bright and early in the morning for Today in LA.